I get this question very frequently, and it just came in my inbox again today from a client. And it basically goes something like this. I had a client leave me a review on Google. They sent me proof, in fact. I got a screenshot, I got an email. They were standing in my office, they showed it to me, and it's not there. Nobody can see it, but I can see it on their phone. I can see that they really did it. Where is it? Why doesn't it show up? This is such a frustrating thing for so many business owners. What you need to know is the background on what's actually occurring in the Google sphere so that you can better understand why you might have a disappearing review or a review that never shows up in the first place. And every single thing that I'm going to tell you about in this video, I want you to understand that it's never just one thing. It's always multiple factors to some degree or another. And we don't know exactly how much Google weights each of the different factors, but I'm going to give you a few of the reasons why you might have a review that doesn't show up. The first one is it's from a new account. This is probably the most frequent thing that I see. You have people who are going on, you're asking them to leave a review, but it's not something they do on a regular basis. Maybe it's somebody who has never even created a Gmail account and you're asking them to leave a Google review and they don't even know they have to have a Gmail account in order to leave that review. So they go through the process because they're trying to be nice or because you've done such a great job that they legitimately want to leave that review. And then you go through all that effort only to find out the review doesn't show up. Well, why is that? The big backstory here that you're probably lacking is that Google has been waging a war against spam and fake reviews for years, it seems. Ever since Google Places first came out, which has evolved over time into Google Business Profiles, Google My Business, it's had a lot of different iterations. But these days, Google Business Profiles, or GBP for short, has a major fake review problem. There are a lot of different ways in which nefarious actors are leveraging fake reviews to gain an advantage, an unfair advantage, in the battle to win over customers. This happens both in terms of local SEO as well as local service ads. In both cases, reviews are part of the ranking factor. And so when there's an incentive because it helps you rank better or it helps you show up in the ads better, people are going to try to game the system, and they do all the time. So one of the things that oftentimes will trigger a review to be caught in this filter is that the account's just brand new. So a clever little trick that you can do to help with this, especially if reviews are significantly important to you, with personal injury lawyers who we deal with quite a bit, oftentimes we're dealing with firms that might only settle a handful of cases a month. And so they might only have an opportunity to get anywhere from 1 to 10 reviews a month. And that's not a lot in the big picture of things, but their circumstances are somewhat different than, say, a plumber or an electrician who might be able to get 30 a week. Well, in this circumstance, when you have very few opportunities to get reviews, what you can do is you can actually do a little what I call a goodwill campaign, where you're seeking to help another local business and get a nice little side benefit in the process. So what you do is you have one of these clients who has a brand new Google account that they just left you a review on. Buy them a gift card to a couple of mom and pop places, little local businesses. Don't go to the chains. They have plenty of advertising and plenty of business. Get somebody local who you feel you want to promote or who needs a little bit more business, and buy 1 to 3 gift cards and give it to the person and say, this is a gift. Then what I want you to do is instruct them to leave an honest review, whatever their experience is. Don't coach them, but take each of those gift cards and go out and leave a review for that particular business. And what's going to happen is now their profile is going to start to build up authority. Remember, that's the whole name of the game in all of this internet marketing stuff, is building up authority. And there's a lot of ways we can do that. Well, we're going to do that now with this brand new Gmail account that your client use to leave you a review. So they go out, you get them a pizza gift card, maybe a sandwich shop, or maybe a donut shop, something like that. Whatever you're known for in your area, Mike Morse has his Detroit pizza reviews, use something like that. Get them a gift card, hand it out to the person, and then ask them to leave a review to each of those different places. And now they're going to have a record or a history of having left reviews. And in many cases, this isn't a surefire thing, but in many cases, what we'll see is that hidden filtered review will pop up and it'll start showing up for you. So now you've built up a little bit of goodwill. You can even tell them that, hey, so-and-so from my business sent me and they gave me this gift card. So you get a little bit of reciprocation there. And in the process, you're going to help bump up that review out of the filter. Now, what if it's not that simple? And it never is. Sometimes there's other issues. It might be that the account is having some historical issues. Maybe they've had other reviews reported. And so maybe there's a filter on that person as opposed to you. In most cases, I think the filter is going to be something that is applying to your particular business. Now, one aspect of this that I think is probably not going to be good news to many of the smaller clients and firms and businesses is that I think to a certain extent, bigger brands do have a little bit of an advantage in this game because the amount of reviews you get over time somewhat sets a benchmark. And so let's say you're that small firm that can only get, say, 4 reviews a month, okay? You're going to have a little bit harder time getting these sandboxed reviews out compared to a firm that gets, 50 reviews a month. And unfortunately, that's somewhat just the nature of algorithms, that when there's momentum there, it kind of feeds on itself and there's a little bit of a snowball effect. And so that filtering might be somewhat relaxed against a bigger brand. And, that sucks. But there's some aspects of Google's review system right now that I don't have a better answer for you than simply saying it sucks. Now, there are also some reviews that got filtered in a big purge or an update that happened towards the end of 2022. And if you have reviews that were once showing up but aren't now, there's actually a form on Google that you can use to address this and reach out to Google and see if you can get those reinstated. And you may check too, if you've ever seen this before and you wondered where they went, they might be back. Go check again because there's a lot of this. If you want to read more, if you're really interested, I can't imagine you would be. This is the kind of stuff that guys like me read. But there's a gentleman named Mike Blumenthal who is very in close proximity to a lot of the different agencies as well as people at Google. And so he really keeps the SEO world up to date on a lot of these issues. And he's written quite a bit about this problem as of late. So if you Google Mike Blumenthal, Google reviews, you can see a lot of the saga that's been going back and forth about the spam efforts that Google's been employing and all the different things they're doing to kind of take stuff down. But in the end, the best thing you can do is get more reviews more frequently. And I know that's easier said than done. But also, if you can, get more reviews from people who have a history of leaving reviews. And think more creatively. I had a client who I asked him what they were currently doing, and they had limited themselves to, we're only asking people who come in because their case is completed. And I'm like, why? Like, anytime you have somebody who's happy, that's pleased with the results, if you've given them some great service and they're happy, that's the time to ask. Many of the firms that I see who really dominate, you go look at our client, Mike Morse Law Firm out of Detroit, and they crush getting reviews. They get so many. That's because they're innovative. They're always asking. Anytime a client has a good experience, they're asking them to leave a review. they're out in the community and they're leveraging those opportunities where they're in the community doing things like the pet adoption stuff and the project backpack and a lot of their different ways in which they're involving themselves in the community. They're using that to get good reviews. And so think a little bit more creatively than just, hey, a client settled, or, we fixed a toilet today and so we asked them for a review. Always ask for reviews. There's lots of ways if you get a little bit of creative juices flowing. Now, another way to think about this is I had an attorney who had a lot of reviews, but he's a relatively small firm. And I asked him what his secret is, because I'm curious. I always like to find out more about what people are doing that's outside the norm. And he said, you know what I'm doing? When people call me who either I'm not going to take their case or it's not even related to what I do, it's a completely different practice area. He says, what do you think my competitors do? And I said, I know precisely what your competitors do because I talk to them all the time. And the sort of the ethos within law practices is to be as efficient as possible, right? Get on the call, find out the relevant facts, and get off the call if it's not a fit. And I get that there's a certain amount of that's necessary as a business owner to maximize efficiency. At the same time, he then turned and he said, now ask me what I do. And so, of course, I did because I wanted to know. And he said, I just spend a couple minutes with them, listen to what's actually going on in their life. And then if I can, I give them some helpful advice, or I refer them specifically to somebody I know because I spend time building those relationships around town. So I'm able to refer them out to somebody specific. And I take the time, it's usually just 2 to 3 minutes, to actually help them to the extent that I can. Now, before I tell you what he does next, I want to tell you the reaction that I got when I had shared this with several other attorneys. The most common response that I got when I told them, this is what this guy's doing, and he's killing it. He's getting a lot of reviews. And instead of seeing the ingenuity and the innovation that he's employing, you know what their answer was? Oh, he's giving away free legal advice? And I just thought to myself, wow, that is so short-sighted to be thinking of it in that way. You look at the entire digital economy, I think, is based on reciprocation. And so I think, candidly, that's a pretty short-sighted way to look at it. Well, as you might expect, the next thing that this attorney does is he simply asks them, hey, for taking a couple of minutes out of my day to help you, would you mind if I sent you a link to go leave me a review on Google? And he said he has a 95% take rate on that. 9 out of 10 people say, absolutely, I would love to do that. And they do. So think creatively. There's a lot of ways to go get more reviews. But if you have reviews that aren't showing up, reach out to us and we might be able to help you get some of those unstuck. And we might have a few answers about a few other things that could be working better for you.